Hey everyone, welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. So, if you were with us for our last explainer, that capstone build where we finalized the analytical report on Nakamoto consensus, well, you already know exactly how the network agrees on a single indisputable history of blocks, right? You basically mastered the how of the blockchain. But today we're actually unpacking what sits inside those ordered blocks. We're moving from the architecture of agreement straight into the architecture of value. We're going to look at the precise state model Bitcoin uses to track who owns what.
Let's kick things off with a question that honestly forces us to completely rethink everything we know about how digital money works. How does Bitcoin actually hold value? Look, if you're picturing a traditional bank database where, an account number is tied to a balance that just magically ticks up and down as you spend money, you're going to have to unlearn that. Seriously, scratch that mental model. Bitcoin doesn't have accounts. It literally doesn't have balances. It does something entirely different, completely decentralized, and honestly, it's a whole lot more fascinating.
All right, here is our engineering blueprint for today. First, welcome to the UTXO. Second, anatomy of an output. Third, the cash envelope metaphor. Fourth, tracing a live transaction. And finally, privacy, fees, and wallets. Let's dive in.
Section 1. Welcome to the UTXO, the atomic unit of Bitcoin.
Okay, so what exactly is this scary-sounding acronym? Well, UTXO stands for Unspent Transaction Output. It's essentially a discrete record on the ledger that represents a specific amount of Bitcoin, and it's tied directly to a locking condition that specifies exactly who is allowed to spend it. Simply put, the UTXO is the canonical, indivisible piece of Bitcoin that transactions rearrange all across the network. And hey, the word unspent is absolutely crucial here. It just means this specific piece of value is live, it's valid, and it is waiting right there to be used.
Section 2. Anatomy of an output. Examining the blueprint. To really grasp this, think of a UTXO like a patent spec sheet. Every single UTXO is made up of 3 distinct components. First up, the amount. This simply stores the value in satoshis, which determines exactly how much purchasing power is available to be consumed. Second, we have the outpoint. You can think of this as the UTXO's exact GPS coordinate on the blockchain. It's made up of the previous transaction's hash plus an output index, which identifies precisely which UTXO we're talking about. And third, the locking script. This is basically a cryptographic padlock. It defines the exact conditions, usually requiring your digital signature, that have to be met to unlock and spend that value.
Now, this represents a massive paradigm shift. Unlike your traditional bank account that just pools all your deposits into a single fluid number on a screen, Bitcoin doesn't do balances. Nope, it tracks a giant set of independent, unspent outputs. So when you open your crypto wallet and you see a balance of, let's say, 1 Bitcoin, the network actually has no idea about that 1 Bitcoin. Your wallet software is literally just scanning the blockchain, finding all the separate, scattered, unspent UTXOs that belong to your keys, and doing the math behind the scenes to show you a nice, convenient total.
Section 3. The cash envelope metaphor. Envelopes, cash, and permission slips.
To make this instantly click, let's completely drop the computer science jargon for a second. Imagine walking around with a pocket awkwardly stuffed full of heavy, sealed envelopes. The cash inside each envelope? That's the Satoshi amount. And the permission slip stuck to the outside of that sealed envelope, that is the locking script proving that you actually own it. So when you want to pay someone, you don't just subtract a number from a ledger, you physically hand over one or more of these sealed envelopes.
But here is the absolutely crucial rule. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. You cannot tear a cash envelope in half to make exact change. I mean, try ripping a $20 bill in half at the grocery store to buy a sandwich. It doesn't end well for anyone, right? You have to hand over the whole unopened envelope. The cashier opens it, takes what is owed to them, and then they have to put your remaining cash into a brand new envelope and hand it right back to you as your change.
Section 4. Tracing a live transaction. Alice pays Bob. Let's watch how this transaction actually flows in practice. Step 1. Alice selects her inputs. Let's say she needs to send 0.5 Bitcoin, but looking in her wallet, she only has a single envelope worth 0.7 Bitcoin. So she chooses that 0.7 UTXO. Step 2. She creates outputs. She hands over her 0.7 envelope to the network. It's opened up and permanently destroyed. The cash inside is then split into 2 brand new envelopes. One envelope goes to Bob containing his 0.5 Bitcoin. The other envelope comes right back to Alice as her change containing 0.1999 Bitcoin. Then, step 3, implicit fee calculation. Now, if you're doing the mental math with me, 0.5 plus 0.1999 is 0.6999. So the math magically leaves a tiny bit left over. Where exactly did it go?
Well, looking at the breakdown of that single atomic 0.7 Bitcoin input, we have slice 1, the payment to Bob. We have slice 2, Alice's brand new change UTXO. And then look at slice 3, that tiny 0.0001 Bitcoin sliver. That is the implicit fee. Notice it's not a new envelope. It is simply the mathematical difference between the input and the outputs. And that leftover dust just blows right away into the miner's pocket as a reward for confirming the transaction. The inputs must always, always be greater than or equal to the outputs.
Section 5. Privacy, Fees, and Wallets. Why the UTXO model matters.
So these 3 golden rules actually dictate your privacy and your network fees. First, atomicity. This means UTXOs must be spent whole, no tearing envelopes. Second, implicit fees. You always calculate the miner reward as inputs minus outputs. And third, change outputs. Any leftover value always creates a brand new UTXO for the sender. Because of these rules, your wallet is constantly working behind the scenes, combining smaller envelopes to make big payments or shattering big envelopes to make small payments. And here's the catch. Every time it combines inputs, it creates a visible link on the public blockchain, giving clues to anyone analyzing the network about who owns what. Plus, every extra envelope you add to a transaction increases its data size, which directly increases the fee you're going to have to pay. I'm going to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder as you prepare for our next lesson, which covers UTXO life cycles and state changes. If every single envelope you spend is permanently recorded and linked to the envelopes of the past, what story does your wallet history tell the world? It's a brilliant but entirely transparent web of value. I highly encourage you guys to visit forge.college to continue your learning journey and explore more of our educational resources on this and, honestly, tons of other fascinating Web3 topics. Thanks so much for joining this explainer today, and keep building.